In the beginning of 20th century, we were just 1.6 billion people. Today, we are inching towards 8 billion. We have been able to feed this many people only because of chemicals and fertilizers. We have crossed famine situations only because of this, but at the same time, we have damaged the soil significantly. Significantly, we have damaged the soil. So our time has come as a generation, we turn back. Turning back is not with fanatical ideas, ban the fertilizer, ban the chemicals, that is not the way. If you raise organic content, the need for fertilizer will start sliding down naturally. We must be patient enough to do that. Fanatical ideas of urban people, I'm saying, it's only urban people who are talking about organic farming, natural farming, because they don't do farming. You go and ask a farmer, try to grow his crops without fertilizer, without pesticide, it will be zero for him. So, let us not say things which are irresponsible. All of you young people must educate yourself about soil, okay? Wherever you go, at least for 2 to 5 minutes, you must be able to speak with some sense about soil. It's very important, because as a generation we have this challenge in front of us, but as a generation we have this privilege that we could be that generation which turned back from the brink of a disaster. We don't want to be that generation which walked into the disaster and cry about it. I'm saying this because we have this propensity that we keep walking into disasters and keep crying about it every time. See, when World War I happened, everybody said, this is enough, no more war. We formed League of Nations and da-da-da. No more war. Within 25 years, number 2 happened. All right? And after World War II, when the most horrendous things happened, we said, no more war at all, this is it. United Nations, and we will stop all war. How many wars since 1944? When 21st century came, we said, oh, 20th century people, idiotic people, they fought wars and wars. 21st century is the age of information, technology. We are all, what is that, huh? Like this. We're not going to fight wars, love, and this and that. In 21st century, how many wars? How many nations have been destroyed in the last 22 years? Just look back and see. Because we need to understand this. We keep crying about the same things and we keep doing the same things. So this is a time for us to stand up and turn this situation around, and it's not some rocket science, nor does it take enormous financial outlays. It just needs the right direction and a relentless commitment. This is all it takes. Let's make it happen. Till I say stop, okay? Till I say stop. All of you, how many of you here and in the adjacent 2 halls, they told me about 6,500 people or something like that, okay? So all the 6,500 people, those of you who are in the other halls also, make some noise for them, huh? Please. Every day, just 10 to 12 minutes a day. Use your phone and say something about soil, whatever the hell you know. If you don't know anything, just go into FAO website and look up some facts. If it's too complicated for you, if it's too scientific for you, go into Save Soil website, much more simplistic thing, say something. If you can't say anything, just say Save Soil, Save Soil. Because I'm telling you, if we don't do this as a generation, we will regret this seriously. Right now, according to UNFAO, on an average every year, 27,000 species of organisms are going extinct. So it's a slide. This slide, if it continues, it's estimated somewhere in the next 25 to 40 years, this slide will go into your tumble. Once it goes into your tumble, there's nothing you can do or I can do. There's nothing we will be able to do. We will have to face the consequences. Right now, it's possible to stop this and turn this around. It is not an experiment. Last 27 years, we've manifested this on the ground that over 132,000 farmers in southern India. We've transformed them into what is called as tree-based agriculture. When I explained this to your Prime Minister and coalition partners yesterday, they immediately took the decision, we will send a team to study what's happening there and we want to do it here. So please support these things. Without people's support, so when you come into this every day, 10 to 12 minutes, you must say something about soil. Please make this happen, because in this fabulous mountainous country, you should not suffer from that, because you have plenty of land for the people that you have, and this is very rich land. In many ways, this land is just a couple of generations old or 3 generations old agriculture. In India, in southern India, we have farmed the same land for over 12,000 years. Same land for 12,000 years, but we maintain the richness of the land. But in the last 45 to 50 years, we've taken it down. 62% of India's land right now is degraded. Average organic content is 0.68% in India. In Africa, across the continent, is 0.3%. It's a disaster. Below 1% is considered serious desertification. Southern Europe is 1.1%. Northern Europe, which is the highest in the world, is 1.48%. But the minimum prescribed by United Nations is 3% is the most minimum. If 3% organic content is not there, species will start dying. What organic content means is, it is a food for all this microbial life, which is a we cannot exist. That is the fact of life. In the last 70 years, 67% of vertebrate population on the planet has disappeared. 67%. 82% of the biomass insects have disappeared. 92% of freshwater aquatic life has disappeared. Really, what's our plan? What's our plan for our own lives? Because when we talk about 2030, 2040, 2045, we are not talking about future generations, we're talking about you. Hello? It's just a couple of decades away, where every scientist, without any ambiguity, everybody is saying this is where we're going. And by 2032, it's expected 1.3 billion people will migrate because of food and water shortages. When people move in unplanned ways, forced migrations bring untold suffering to human beings. The worst is taken always by the women and children. When unplanned migrations happen, women and children get the worst of it. You have to see this, what's happening in the southern European border, in many countries. What happens to these African women who land up there is unspeakable. Let's not once again drive humanity in that direction. It is important food grows where people are. It's very, very important. For long-term well-being of any nation, food must grow where people are. A few exotic things, you want to eat a kiwi fruit, you can get it from New Zealand. But basic food first must grow in each country where people are. This is very, very important. So I'll leave it to you, if you have any questions, any kind of question, not necessarily about soil. About you, because you're also soil. Hello? Do you get that? You're also soil, walking soil. Now you walk for a long time, but let's be walking on a rich soil. Question. You must raise your hand and wait for the microphone. Please take the microphone, please. Please. Just wait for the microphone. Where is it? Yeah, please.
Namaskaram. Namaste Sadhguru. My name is Malvika Subha. The question that I'd like to ask you, it is an honor and a pleasure to have you here today. The one thing that has been really going on my mind, I apologize if it might sound very political. I belong to an indigenous community, which is the Kirari community, which has the longest history, especially for Nepal. Now we can understand there has been so much of oppression, land encroachment, so much of domination, so much of land has been taken away from the indigenous community in the name of development. When we talk about safe soil and saving the soil, I'm hoping and I'm requesting you, when you're talking to global leaders, especially as I'm a माननीय वन मन्त्रीजी पनि आजै आउनुहुन्छ, कतिजना जनजाति आदिवासी जनजातिका आफ्नो जुन उहाँहरूले पाउनुहुने. So what I'm trying to say is I'm very emotional about it. I wish that you would definitely talk about these issues for the indigenous people, as you know that their nature lovers and soil is where their home is. Thank you so much, Sadhguru. If you don't mind, I have with me one of our symbols from the Kirati religion, which is Siddham Sakma, which basically means helping us ward off from the evil life and death. If I could present it to you, that would be my honor.
Malvika, it is true across the world, this is a reality, that the lands held by indigenous communities is being slowly shrinking and shrinking everywhere. Well, we can point fingers, but it is a reality that we cannot ignore. As you may know that in 2020, I traveled across 17 Native American nations within the United States, which most people don't know of. I knew that there are nations. I thought there must be about 35 or 40 nations. When I really started researching and making this travel, I discovered there are over 500 nations within the United States, Native American indigenous nations. They have their own languages, they have their own religion, they have their own culture. 500 unique nations of their own. So can we really bring them back once again into existence? There are some laws which says yes, but practically can we ever do that? I don't think there is a reality like that. So the important thing is, this is true, I don't know why I'm not conversant with the realities of Nepal, but this is true across the world. This is true even in India. Tribal lands are always being taken for something or the other, because people are piling up in cities, they want so many things, they want a home, they want to drive a car, they want their computer, they want their phone, they want their everything, all the comforts. To provide all these comforts, somewhere we have to be digging all the time. And if large tracts of land are held by anybody, whether you're indigenous or you're alien, it doesn't matter, those guys are going to dig it up, unfortunately. I'm not trying to condone that, but this is an unfortunate reality on the planet. Because as I said earlier, from 1.6 billion in the beginning of 20th century, in just 120 years, we have come to 8 billion. How do you provide things for 8 billion people? And how much we are consuming? Just look at anything, yourself. Your grandmother, how many pieces of clothing she owned? How many you own? If you look at it, probably 25 to 50 times more you own. Yes or no? So our needs and our aspirations have gone through the ceiling, and we are still talking about saving this, saving that. It's very, very difficult. It is very important, either we, as I said earlier, if you are joyful by your own nature, whether you had 1 or 10 or 100, you would do it according to what is available. But right now, when your happiness depends on what you wear, what you eat, where you live, and what you do, and what you possess, you cannot stop human aspiration. Right now, human societies are still in this condition. They need so many things for fulfilling their happiness, their children's happiness, their well-being, because they have set a certain image. What is well-being? On an average, what an average American citizen owns? If the same has to be provided, because I know a lot of youth from here want to go to the United States or wherever else they can go in the Western world, I'm just telling you, to make sure that 8 billion people have the same things that an average American person has, the Living Earth statistics says we need 4.5 planets for that. But we have only half a planet left. So where do we begin? So I must tell you this, right now this information is declassified. It seems some 32 or 35 years ago. NASA was planning to take a nuclear weapon, okay? A nuclear bomb of some enormous tonnage, megatonnage, and take it to the moon and put a hole to the core of the moon and blast it there, because there it seems there is some metal which is 100 times lighter than steel and at least 50 to 60 times stronger than steel. So we are glad the moon is still there. Okay? I'm saying human needs are such, we won't need anything. So either we must reduce our aspiration or we must reduce our population. One of these things we must do. Hello? As a part of this in India, it's the most unpopular thing I did in my life. I started what is called as no conception years in some villages, that women choose by themselves. This year, no conception. Postpone to next year. By next year, you may be much wiser, you know. Who knows?